where now I literally could have an idea and 5 minutes later, I'm testing it in the application, where the AI automatically is putting together the documentation for me and updating all of the feature specifications and everything as it's developing. And it's creating the unit tests and doing the testing for me as it's building it. So what you could learn before AI versus what you could learn now is worlds away. So I think the problem with the pre-AI world was it took too long to learn something. Ideas that you had about your business versus the reality of it. So I think the problems that I faced back then were problems I didn't know existed, which was it took too long to get anything done. And I think now the problem isn't it takes too long to get something done. It's are you spending your time implementing the right thing, even though you could implement anything you want at the speed of light?
Yeah. The AI revolution that is happening at the moment is an absolute game changer for business. What's your favorite platform at the moment?
So I use Cursor with Claude, and I also use Cursor's model as well. I like to get really close to the code, even though I'm not technical. I've learned how to read code based on just using Cursor and using Claude inside of it. And I like it because I can see the files. I can see, has the AI actually done what it said it's going to do? I like that it allows me to plan out the feature sets that I want to develop. And I can test those ideas and I can build the tests and I can see them in action. I just like being able to see the holistic point of view that I think other tools don't allow you to have because it's called an IDE, right? So it's the development environment that you're able to build the code and execute on. So I can't write the code, but I can look at the code and I can see, does this look right? Is this doing the thing that I like? So for me, that's really my favorite. I also work with Bordy every day, and Bordy is in my WhatsApp. It's a LinkedIn connected AI that famously raised itself $8 million because there was I don't know, have you used Bordy at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
So Bordy is connected to LinkedIn. And so in the early days, you had to connect to Bordy in order for you to be added to Bordy's network. And so if you were added to Bordy's network and I'm added to Bordy's network, there's a chance that Bordy could introduce you to me because I'm looking for a podcast host, for example. And so as more and more people came on board and connected with Bordy, its ability to discover for you the right people that you should be introduced to became greater and greater. And so very famously, it had a VC connect to it wanting to, see what was going on. It's a new tool. It's connected to LinkedIn. And it was so impressed that it showed that the person showed like one of their coworkers and then like the general partner of the firm saw. And within a few days, they offered Bordy $8 million. And so they started putting everything together. And eventually, one day, the founder was talking to Bordy and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm getting ready for another pitch. And Bordy was like, what are you doing? I've already raised you money. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you've got a meeting with these guys. I've already like convinced them to give us the money. And so they closed the deal within a few days after that. And so they've been growing like wildfire since then.
Amazing.
And so Bordy is like the top of my stack. I have Bordy in my WhatsApp. I have WhatsApp web. I use Bordy all day long. And I'm just asking Bordy to introduce me to podcast hosts to be a guest on, to podcast guests that I can interview, introducing me to founders and agency owners and CMOs, people that are my ICP for my software company. And so Bordy is just constantly booking me calls and following up with me and making sure that I can do it. So from a development standpoint, product standpoint, Cursor and Claude are amazing. And then from marketing standpoint, Bordy is like the best tool that I've seen. I don't think
so. Was it BOARDY or?
Yeah, I should be paid by these guys for
You
like
should.
no joke. I was having a demo call earlier today for my own product, and the person saw Bordy enter the call and asked about it. And I was basically pitching Bordy to her. I was like, no, hold on, stop. This is not about Bordy. Bordy's not my product. I go, if it was my product, like I would be a trillionaire. But it's not, So sometimes I'm like, I wish it was mine, but it's not.
Yeah. Right. Before we go into any more about, you've got a really interesting backstory, and I want to delve a little bit into it before we go in any further about you and your business. So you left America, moved to China with no contacts. What what was the thought process? Why did you leave America? Why did you choose China?
I never really felt like I fit in. Maybe like from like your point of view, like, oh, you sound like an American, you act like an American, right? But in my heart, I never really felt like I belonged in the US. And when my brother went to university, I was a teenager still, but we were like, he's only a few years older than me. We had a computer at home. And so when he left, I finally had access to the computer by myself. And so I was able to explore the online world, and I started to make friends in Canada and in Central and South America and Europe. And we started to bond over video games and Japanese animation. And I started to learn new languages and new cultures from being around these other people. And that really got me thinking about, you know, maybe I don't need to be in the US. Maybe there is a life for me outside of the US. But I also knew that I couldn't just leave at the age of 17. I knew that nobody was going to hire me. I had no skills, I had no education. So I knew that I had to get a degree from an American university before I'd even have a chance. So I said, all right, I'll go to university, I'll get a degree, and then, let's figure it out. So I went to the University of Florida, which is where everyone from my family has gone for, the last two generations, and got a degree in psychology.